Our ancient cousins left monuments to life after death. The world stands in awe of their art, engineering, and architecture. What we understand today has only been pieced together from fragmented hieroglyphs and archaeological discoveries. The pharaohs believed that having their names spoken by the living assured them life after death. Even today, modern Egyptians believe to say a thing gives it power or life. It is this belief in the power of sound that demonstrates the possibilities of sound, ceremony, and intention. Egypt is the birthplace of Western civilization and shows us that spirituality is the common ground of all mankind. We experience being human and alive in awe of these ancient wonders. Rich in ancient architecture, culture, and unexplained mysteries, each year over 7 million travelers visit Egypt, long considered one of the most sacred places on Earth. Sacred travel is a growing movement through which spiritually minded people visit exotic places to experience something greater than themselves. Consciously or unconsciously, we all search for ways to accelerate our growth and improve our life. Intention was the difference between this pilgrimage and the more common vacation tour. We want to share the story of where, who, what, and how this soul adventure came to be, and even unknowingly, how a young couple gained answers through their experiences and a wider understanding of vibration, frequency, and sound activation.
Our relationship has totally blossomed.
We were just more naturally curious and wanting to connect with other people in a deeper sense than the traditional.
Robbie and Farah were venturing into Egypt for their first time, armed only with a questioning openness and a desire to learn. Their adventures would lead them to a new understanding of their relationships and even their perceptions of life's purpose.
We had just gotten married. We were a little uncertain of in our relationship as far as communication. We weren't sure do we need to see a counselor, a therapist. We weren't sure what we needed. So we thought a vacation would be good.
What drew us to Egypt may actually sound a little more superficial. Overall, we wanted to see Egypt and the pyramids. We know that's the start of civilization, and so we wanted to see it and touch it. As far as the group, we also wanted to learn more about meditation and different sound ceremonies, so that's why this group is perfect for us.
I want to experience the most during my time here on Earth. I just want to feel things, experience things, see things, and
help others.
And help others along the way.
Georgie was another traveler whose lifelong work in health and spiritual traditions provided an experienced perspective.
She's a yoga instructor. She seemed very knowledgeable.
I think Egypt called me from the first day I knew it existed. It touched me on many levels. Definitely the spirituality, and definitely the connection to something bigger than me, something older than me, but yet not older than me, whether or not that makes sense. I was meant to be there and find some message before I left.
Tom and Deborah Margrave, tour hosts, heard their calling several years ago, giving up successful careers to move to Sedona, Arizona, a known mecca for New Age metaphysics. It all began with a leap of faith. They had a vision. And following their intuition, founded Sedona Soul Adventures, where they facilitate spiritual encounters.
We had no idea what we were going to be doing. All that I knew is I was told we were supposed to go.
I think what happens with people who are on a spiritual path is you take a step on the path, you don't get to see, we didn't know what we were going to do when we came out to Sedona. We didn't know how we were going to make a living. We just knew that we needed to be in Sedona. So we made the move and took that step, and then after we had taken that step on the path, other things opened up and more things opened up.
We just did it, and it didn't make any sense. My family thought I was crazy, but the signs were there for me. I look back on my life now and I can see how everything, I mean everything, led me to where I am now.
We came to the understanding that what our role was to put people in connection with healers and the practitioners here in Sedona. You teach what you need to learn, and so we're learning along the way about ourselves and then ourselves together.
From the mountain desert of Sedona to the Sahara's edge, why do these majestic landscapes call the human psyche? Why at an early age do our minds respond with a metabolic curiosity when we see the pyramids? What does this movement of sacred journeys provide curious travelers? After their initial success in coordinating spiritual experiences in Sedona, Tom and Deborah expanded their business to include a lifelong dream of sacred travel.
There's so many lines of development that come direct through Western culture that come directly from Egypt. The Egyptian culture was considered to be the mother culture to the Greeks and Romans and the other cultures in the Mediterranean.
Egypt is the one for me. I love taking people there and having them get all excited about it. And it's new for me every time. Every single time it's new for me, which still kind of is amazing.
Egyptian people connect with American people very well, and that's always been my experience. They've been very open-hearted, friendly, wanting to connect, wanting to interact.
What is the role of a sacred travel facilitator?
I think the most important one is envisioning the trip, holding the space, creating the container, and intending for this to be a trip where people connect.
The group consisted of like-minded people, but each one brought their unique energy to the journey. Some were world travelers, but for all, this was a new experience. Some had spiritual openness about them. Some were openly questioning, how can differing opinions and perspectives add value to everyone's quest for understanding?
They were naysayers, to speak some term to them. I loved that they were, and that they were still a part of the group, because I thought that they were just as much a foundation as any other aspect that came into that group. There is one old dear friend that came with me, who I met 30 years ago when we joined the military. She said, "That sounds a little woo-woo to me." I said, "Make it what you want." Everybody offered something of themselves, and just enough.
I think we were probably some of the more skeptical people. We're both skeptics, and we're open-minded and we're skeptical. So we don't just believe anything.
Big question.
We question everything until it can actually make sense in our minds. We really didn't have a lot of spiritual background. We're spiritual naturally, but we really don't practice very much. So like, this is great. We can go see Egypt. We can, enhance our spiritual knowledge, learn some new things.
And we definitely felt that it'd be safer as a group. And usually as a group, we find ourselves exploring more and getting more in the day. We couldn't believe all that we had already done in the first half of the day.
Yeah.
We'd probably just be getting up at 10 a.m. that day.
By the third day, we felt like we were there for 2 weeks.
Yeah, so much we had done. So.
Yeah. So that was great.
And there were so many levels. Everybody was at a different level, a different stage. And it didn't matter what level you were, what stage you were, spiritual, in your spiritual world. We all collaborated. We all would talk over lunches, dinners, and learn something from each other.
There's a spiritual component when you're in Egypt, when you're actually in these spots. It's pretty amazing. To be standing in front of the pyramid that is at least 4,000 years old. It's a potent place where you experience yourself differently.
There were other facilitators on the trip as well. Dumas and Tiffany Tatum, whose role was to provide a sacred space, combined elements of Aboriginal, Native American, and New Age rituals in their ceremonies.
John's role on the tour was basically to lead the ceremonies and instrumental sound ceremonies. Tiffany was with him, and she provided more of the vocal sound support as well as other energy work.
We are not people's healers. And that's something that I always like to make perfectly clear to a person or to a group, is that we are here to facilitate an opening. And it's up to the person if they want to walk through that door to be able to have the opening, because really they are their own healers. What John and I are is like a tuning fork.
When we're at a very sacred site, then there's an extra added bonus because we get to work with the medicine of the land itself and all the ceremonies that have been done there throughout the past.
They introduced us to general knowledge about our frequencies and vibrations and crystals. Sound would basically speed up our vibrations and kind of help.
What we want to do is find a way in, and we use different ways to find a way in for people. And so sometimes it's through meditation, sometimes it's meditation using light, beautiful music, sometimes it's using the music of the didgeridoo, which is very strong and very high level of vibration. And that is really the one that we use the most to connect people in with the energy.
On their first day in Egypt, the group made their way to the foundation of the Great Pyramid next to the Sphinx. There, among new friends and strangers, they participated in their first sound activation. The Valley Temple was the site of an ancient ceremonial transfer of power. It was the sacred spot where the mummified pharaoh became a god and a new pharaoh was crowned.
By working with the sound vibration of the didgeridoo and Tiffany's voice, we were to facilitate an opening, an entrainment of opening the heart.
I actually felt for a minute there that I was being pushed back.
A little strange at first too, having a good 30 people around you watching you as you close your eyes and have someone run an instrument over you as they played. We felt definitely weird. At first we were kind of like, oh goodness, what is this? What do we get ourselves into? But as you experience it, you could actually feel the vibrations of the music kind of loosen up your body. The best way to explain when the didgeridoo is over my heart, it's almost like, deep bass speaker.
Waking you up.
Yeah, it was waking me up or breaking me up or whatever the case.
Shaking you up.
There was an amazing burst of warmth in my heart chakra, my anahata chakra, that resonated both up and down with the movement of the digi. And it resonated out into my arms and legs, my head, my toes, my fingers. And it was just that. It was this burst of warmth. It's this whoosh of energy that goes through me.
People will report having a flood of memory, of images, of maybe emotion or feelings come up as a result of doing the sound activation. It's a powerful experience.
What that ultimately means is raising their vibration. This whole trip is really about people making that connection to be moving into higher, faster vibration.
And letting go of things that we no longer need.
The Valley Temple ceremony was I think it was a balancing ceremony for me.
This goes very much with working with sound, working with ceremony, but doing it in the most peak, the most intense, powerful place imaginable. And for me, that was Egypt.
To get a better understanding of sound activation, we visited John and Tiffany to view a full-length private ceremony.
I invite Archangel Michael to put a dome of love and light of protection around us, and only the highest and best vibrations and frequencies come through.
I place this session in the light for the highest good of all concerned. Om Takwiyasa.
It's always an important part of the process to ask what is the intention of the individual or the group.
One thing about intention for us is originally it really wasn't a big part of our life or really much into our vocabulary.
One of the things that happens with sound activation is when you're working with sound, you're shedding or letting go of energetic patterns that have been imprinted maybe at a soul level or a cellular level.
The vibrations of the music kind of loosen up your body, so it even opens you more to connect with your surroundings.
I had a shield over my heart of just not letting anyone in. Those could have been some individual, relationship issues. But I remember when he was right there and it was pounding, like, let me in, and I finally said, okay.
And so that's what it is it's that emotional connection that we realize we're not alone. We are all one, and we all have felt very similar feelings. And so it's that human interaction and that human heartfelt connection that really brings about the inspiration for change.
All over, and I was feeling this flush. It was like it was going from the top, and it was flushing and flushing and flushing and flushing. I was actually feeling the blood getting warm, and I'm feeling it through all my arteries, coming down through my feet, down my legs to the feet, and it was like a release, and then I felt the bottom of my feet just lifting off the ground.
For me, it felt like my whole body was almost numb, and my arms really did just uncontrollably kind of go up like this, and they said the reason was the energy releases through your arms and feet.
I would activate the heart chakra, and Tiffany also would be working through her voice and tones, incorporating a balance of male and female.
Each of the vowel sounds have an enunciation that brings forth an energy or a vibrational frequency, which affects us on different levels in different parts of our body.
Well, I feel the presence of what I would call the Holy Spirit or the Shekhinah.
I mean, during a sound activation, we clear off the junk, and then we're with great people that are talking about, you know, how to love others and be connected with everybody else, and it all really sinks in. So it's kind of a way to make both sides of the brain hemisphere work together at once by having all of this going on and able to retrain our bodies and minds to be more receptive to the rest of the world. And
when we are able to slow down the inner dialogue, get away from the ordinary reality, we get to go into non-ordinary reality.
during the trip, most of the people there actually made their living by helping others. And a lot of were sound healers or Reiki masters or yoga, or, you know, a lot of different people who pretty much spent their whole life focused on helping others achieve a good life. And being with people like that especially opened our minds.
You listen to lullabies and you're calmed and relaxed, and you listen to dance music and you're inspired to move your body, and you listen to not even just music but sounds, environmental sounds, the calming effect of water features or things of that nature. So I knew sound connected to human energy on that level. Maybe that is sound activation.
Under a triangular sail, common on the Nile for centuries, the band of travelers boarded an ageless riverboat called the Felucca for their next ceremony. In understanding these tribal ceremonies, our clue is the common thread of motion. The new moon's darkness, which transforms to light, provided a ceremonial opportunity to release negative traits which the participants had outgrown and provide a space for their new self-image.
As we journey down the Nile River, we are setting the intent to work with the energies of the moon and her cycles. The moon right now is in the stage of what we call the dark moon or the new moon. This is the perfect time for us to set our intentions, the intentions of what we would like to release from our past, so that we can work towards co-creating with the universe for our future and our present.
The day before the new moon ceremony, Deborah asked us all to write down a list of items that we wanted to release from us, things that no longer serve us, that we wanted to just get off our chest and release it.
Let go.
Let go. And then write a separate list of items or values that we wanted to bring into our lives.
And the new moon is so important because it's about new beginnings and about setting your intention for what you want to have happen. And a large part of the trip to Egypt is about letting go of old things that aren't serving you anymore and really moving into who you want to be, really moving into who you really are.
What the burning signifies is transformation. So what we are doing is setting the intention to transform and transmute the energy of the intention of what we are letting go.
So the combination of the intentions, the energy, and the music, the moon, and the water, it's just very powerful.
Not all spiritual experience is a quest for answers, nor entered into with a full understanding of the powerful circumstance. In Karnak, the small chapel of Sekhmet would challenge some to walk through and emerge as something brighter and stronger. Sekhmet, goddess of fire, is the lady of transformation, the destroyer of all enemies, but also the goddess of healing. In this ceremony, Farah's experience was amplified at a location with unimaginable history, where ancient people once prayed to the idol of Sekhmet for the healing change which is mirrored in our modern-day pilgrims.
Well, Sekhmet did not like me in there. I did not know that Sekhmet was the goddess of fire.
Imagine just all the energies of all of us in that room and the music and everything really just was out of this world. It was multi-dimensional. I mean, I felt like I was bending backwards, you know, and just kind of fallen into a different realm. I mean, the ceremony was very tribal, loud, enclosed.
I just remember my feet were getting warm, more warm, more warm. And then I felt like I felt like a flame was underneath my feet burning me. And I was just like, oh gosh, I hope the ceremony ends soon. I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. My feet are on fire. Oh my gosh, sweat was dripping down my face, and I felt like I was on fire. It was so bad. And I remember I went outside and I just started to cry. I got my shoes off as fast as I could and my socks off, and the bottom of my feet were scalded red. And they got water over and they were trying to cool my feet. I just remember that I was releasing a lot of anger I had in me at that moment. That was my intention of that, in that ceremony. I was releasing anger and resentment of anything I've ever held towards other people, because I did not want to be that way towards people.
Once one has purged the negative, she is left with a question of direction. What's important to her now? How does she turn an epiphany into a life-changing path? For Farah, relationships, connectedness, and intention have gained new opportunities. In recognizing the art of being fully present, she experienced the extra dimension of synchronicity or oneness.
One thing that we learned the most is to have an intention. You can't meditate without an intention. You can't pray without an intention. You can't do anything really without a solid intention and expect success.
Intentions can also be seen as goals.
And I think with our relationship, with our business, and with any other personal aspect, we know that intention's pretty much the key to it.
When some people just want the end result, they may not think about what are the steps to get there. So when you're clear with your intention and open to what could or may happen, you're totally clear with that, and then you can move forward. And that's one thing I remember when we were discussing intentions, you talk in a present tense as if it's already happening. I am happy. I am clear in thought. I am at peace within myself, because you already have to visualize yourself in that present state for you to get there.
I think it added an extra dimension of communication to our arsenal. Basically, Farah and I were able to connect more outside of just normal speaking. I know one time we were talking about a certain business thing, and we actually, as we were thinking and talking, it's kind of like we connected to a way where our hair started tingling because we knew what we were thinking more so than what we could actually explain.
And sometimes we have a hard time verbalizing it and getting the right word. Sometimes our vocabulary isn't as advanced as we'd like it to be, but when you are in sync with someone, it just connects, and then you can just go with your action. You really don't have to explain it to someone, and that's what we have a little bit stronger now since we've come back from our Egypt trip.
Yeah, that definitely opened up.
Yeah, some kind of channel.
So through this trip, we've learned we need to have an intention for everything we do in order to be successful at it.
Robbie and Farah had gone to Egypt unsure of what they would find, but a desire for improvement was the invitation for change. Could their spiritual accelerations translate to momentum in their personal growth? Did Robbie and Farah transplant their budding intentions and sense of connection when they returned home?
And I was like a second mother to my younger sisters. And when I came back from this trip, it was more of letting go control. I had to let go. And after I did that, soon, within a week after the return from Egypt, my relationships have been wonderful with my sisters and my mother. I wasn't allowing them to live and letting them experience what they needed to experience.
We're able to, I guess, kind of let go of some of the selfishness and then finally connect with others. Like, prior to the trip, I'd find myself at the supermarket checking out and sometimes not even saying a word to the cashier.
If I don't acknowledge the stranger on the street who's standing next to me at a bus stop, I'm pretty much acting as if they don't exist. And for us all to coexist here on Earth, we need to acknowledge one another and be present.
It's kind of like every time you talk to anybody now, we realize that it's important to make it high quality. Even if it's someone you don't know, by connecting anytime you see somebody, you know, you're getting more out of life, or everything
or
you do.
Or you can make a difference.
You can make a huge difference.
We came back with so much more from the trip, and our relationship just has been so much better since we got back.
No matter how skeptical you are, once you feel something, you really, believe.
Yes.
There's a much deeper sense to the world.
Yes.
The universe, rather.
Alhamdulillah.
We're just able to open up a lot within ourselves and just wake up and be real with ourselves. I think that's what it really was. When you can't be real with yourself, you can't be real with another person. I can recall that I did see, a change in everyone from day 1 to day 5 to day 10 to the last day of the trip. Everyone just seemed to have a different flow and enlightenment, and just another way to kind of see what was going on the other side of the planet.
Wow.
Take kiss time. Okay. Well, the camel tried to kiss me. As soon as I hopped off, he turned to get a kiss from me, and I was like, whoa. Oh, and apparently I'm worth a lot of camels.
The ripple effect is the basis of my whole work. When I do these intonations, it's like the pebble that's dropped within the water. And the sounds are circular in motion, which is the way that the whole universe is interacting, is in these concentric circles within circles within circles. And so for me, I know that my gifts were passed on to me from people who were living their truth and their authenticity, and they activated me. And then I now go and activate others, and those people will then go on and activate others. And it's through our joy and our passion and through living in that just divine bliss that we get to experience the ripple effect in everyone that we see and meet.
For me, the ripple effect is this understanding and this higher level of consciousness that's starting to happen in a really big way. As more and more people are understanding that we're all one, that me loving you just means me loving me, and you loving me just means me loving you. I believe that the ripple effect is moving us all towards unconditional love.
To me, the word sacred is no longer a word on a page in the dictionary. To me, what is sacred is not tangible, so it's not geographic. And it's not time-based, so it's not linear. It's energetic, and it's the energy that flows into a place or into a person or into a time that connects them all together. You know, for Georgie, I have to use a quote that's not my own from a wonderful book by Dan Millman called Peaceful Warrior. And a statement in that book is, there are no ordinary moments. And I want to spend the rest of my life exploring the extraordinary. I am a different person now than I was before the trip, and I'll be a different person each day that I breathe. I think this is the stepping stone I'm on to the next life. I'm not done yet.
And I feel that each and every one of us is a thread within the tapestry of life, that we all bring a color and an emanation of vibration and a frequency. And when we're all working together in community and unity, that we will be able to rebirth the new paradigm. And we will be able to write the new script. And so I believe we're here to heal the karmic wounds and the karmic patterns and to move into the next phase of our divine birthright.
There's love and then there's selfishness. Selfishness, of course, is the only bad because what you're doing is you're sheltering yourself from everything else. You don't connect to others, you don't care for others, you don't join the others in. Or I do try to make some sort of connection with people because I feel everybody should connect, and it's always everything, everywhere you go, everything you do everything raises it together. As you connect with others around you, you know, their idol rises, their self-worth rises, and as everything rises, you're just off in a better direction all around.
And even more so in today's world, we have this technology-driven era right now that people are texting, instant messaging, emailing. You know, not many people pick up the phone nowadays or meet up. And I feel that connections need to be even stronger now with people because of all this technology that's being lost.
Our purpose of life is to connect as many different spirits as possible so everything truly is connected. I mean, that's how it should be, and that's how ultimately God would be everywhere and connected to everything. But if we're ever selfish and our spirit's not connected to another, then God does not really flow openly through you. Biggest goal is to connect to as many people as you can, and as those people connect to more people, then you ultimately get connected to everything and it flows freely like water.
We can only conclude there is more here than meets the eye.
Two weeks after we got home, I got this kind of excited, almost frightened call from him saying, "Tom, I'm going to send you this file." What's coming out is a picture of the sarcophagus, and in the sarcophagus is somebody, some form that looks like a person with their arms crossed. I don't know if it was an energetic imprint of people who had laid down in the sarcophagus before, or what it was, but there was definitely an image of a person. very grainy, very, indistinct, but it's definitely there. It was pretty amazing.